Listen to me. 2026 is not going to wait for you, and the world is not going to hand you success on a silver platter. If you want it, you've got to bleed for it, sweat for it, discipline yourself beyond what seems possible. Every hour you choose to push when others quit, every challenge you face when others run, every sacrifice you make when everyone else seeks comfort, that is how you dominate this year. I'm telling you, no one, and I mean no one, will outwork me, and neither should you. Are you ready to rise? Let me tell you something. Most people never want to hear, but deep down they already know it's true. Pain was never the problem. Discomfort was never the thing holding you back. The real enemy, the silent killer of potential, is comfort. Comfort is seductive. Comfort whispers you've done enough. Comfort tells you you deserve a break. Comfort convinces you that tomorrow is guaranteed. And while you're listening to that soft, soothing voice, years are slipping through your fingers. Think about it. Every breakthrough you've ever had in your life came wrapped in discomfort. Growth didn't show up when things were easy. Strength didn't arrive when you were relaxed. Confidence wasn't built when everything went your way. It came when you were stretched, when you were tested, when something inside you said, I don't know if I can do this, and you did it anyway. That's where the power is. That's where identity is forged. But somewhere along the way, we were sold a lie. We were told that if it hurts, it must be wrong. If it's uncomfortable, maybe it's not for us. If it feels heavy, maybe we should stop. And that lie has created a generation that runs from resistance instead of rising through it, a generation that confuses convenience with happiness and ease with success. And the price of that lie? Untapped potential, regret, a quiet knowing at night that you were meant for more. Here's the shift you make in 2026. You stop asking, how do I avoid pain? And you start asking, how do I use it? Because pain isn't a punishment, it's information. Sweat isn't suffering, it's feedback. That burning in your muscles, that resistance in your mind, that voice that says, this is too much, that's not danger. That's adaptation happening in real time. That's you upgrading. When you stop labeling discomfort as bad, everything changes. You stop panicking when things get hard. You stop backing down at the first sign of resistance. You stop needing perfect conditions to perform. Instead, you lean in, you breathe deeper, you say, good, this means it's working. While others see pain as a stop sign, you see it as a green light. And let me be clear, this isn't about chasing suffering for the sake of suffering. This is about choosing meaningful struggle over meaningless comfort, because comfort gives you nothing in return. It asks for your time, your edge, your hunger, and it gives you numbness. Discomfort, on the other hand, demands effort, discipline, and courage, but it pays you back with strength, pride, and freedom. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they've trained themselves to quit the moment it feels uncomfortable. They've wired their nervous system to seek relief instead of results. So the moment things get hard, they check out. They distract themselves. They negotiate. They delay. And they call it self-care when really it's self-betrayal. You are done with that. In 2026, you rewire yourself. You train your mind and body to stay present under pressure. You normalize discomfort. You make it familiar. You don't need hype to move. You need standards. You don't wait to feel ready. You act while it's uncomfortable. And the crazy thing is, over time, what used to feel unbearable becomes your baseline. What used to scare you becomes routine. What used to exhaust you becomes fuel. That's when separation begins. Because while others are shocked by how hard life is, you're prepared for it. While they're offended by resistance, you're sharpened by it. While they're looking for exits, you're looking for leverage. And that's why they can't keep up. Not because you're superhuman, but because you stopped running from what makes humans strong. Let me ask you something real. When was the last time you did something that truly tested you? Not something convenient, not something halfway, something that demanded your full focus, your full effort, your full presence. If it's been a while, that's not a coincidence. That's comfort creeping in. And comfort doesn't announce itself. It slowly lowers your standards until average feels acceptable. But not anymore. You start to recognize discomfort as a signal that you're back on the path. Your hands shaking? Good. Your heart racing? Good. Your mind screaming for you to stop? Perfect. That's the edge. That's the moment most people turn back. And that's why most people never separate themselves from the pack. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be willing. Willing to feel awkward. Willing to feel tired, willing to feel exposed, willing to feel the burn and stay anyway. Because courage isn't the absence of discomfort. It's the decision that something else matters more. And here's what happens when you make this shift. Your confidence stops being fragile. You don't need constant reassurance because you've proven to yourself over and over that you can endure. Your self-respect skyrockets, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. And that strength shows up everywhere, in your work, your relationships, your energy, your presence. People start to feel it. They can't always explain it, but they sense it. There's a groundedness to you, a calm intensity. You're not rushing, not panicking, not complaining. You've been in the fire before. You trust yourself in it. That's what blood and sweat really represent. Not violence, not ego, commitment, willingness, the refusal to live a soft life when you were built for something greater. It's the understanding that ease is earned on the other side of effort, not before it. So when things get uncomfortable this year, and they will, you don't ask, why is this happening to me? You ask, what is this building in me? You don't flinch, you don't fold, you don't retreat to comfort. You step forward with intention. Because the truth is simple, and it's unshakable. Comfort never changed a life, but disciplined discomfort changes everything. You see, most people believe success is about luck. They think it's about being in the right place at the right time, about waiting for the perfect opportunity, for someone to hand them the key to greatness. But I'm telling you right now, that is not how the world works. Real success, lasting success, is built in the moments when no one is watching, when the noise fades away, when the world is asleep, and it's just you and your relentless pursuit of excellence. It is in those moments that champions are made. It's in those moments that you carve your name into the future with sheer force of will. And that is why in 2026, no one will outwork me, because I'm mad. A decision, a commitment that cannot be shaken by fear, doubt, or distraction. I have decided that discomfort is not my enemy, it is my ally. Every great achievement in human history, every single one, was birthed from discomfort. No one ever climbed a mountain, built an empire, or created something extraordinary by sitting comfortably in their living room, waiting for inspiration to strike. It never happened, and it never will. You want to be extraordinary. You have to learn to embrace the pain, the grind, the discipline, and the sweat, because that is the only language that success understands. You cannot negotiate with mediocrity. You cannot compromise with laziness. You cannot argue with the truth that hard work beats talent when talent refuses to work hard. And the truth is, most people will never outwork you if you understand this, if you internalize it, if you make it a part of who you are at your core. I want you to picture something with me. Picture the person you admire most, the one who inspires you, the one who seems untouchable in their field. Maybe it's an athlete, a business leader, an artist, a creator. Now, I want you to understand something critical. Every one of those people has a story filled with moments that were ugly, moments that were brutal, moments where they had to push themselves further than they ever thought possible. They bled for it. They sweat for it. They disciplined themselves in ways most people are unwilling to even consider. And yet, when you look at them, it seems effortless, doesn't it? That's because they trained themselves to thrive in the moments when others run, to persist when others quit, to embrace the struggle that would break the average person. That is what makes them untouchable. That is what makes them relentless. And that, my friends, is the standard you have to hold yourself to in 2026. Discipline is the secret weapon. Discipline is not sexy. Discipline does not give you the rush of instant gratification. Discipline is lonely sometimes. Discipline asks you to show up even when you don't feel like it. Discipline forces you to do the work no one else sees. But here's the thing about discipline, it compounds. Every single time you choose to push past your excuses, every single time you decide to put in the extra hour, every single time you stay committed to your vision, even when your mind screams at you to quit, you are investing in a version of yourself that is untouchable. You are becoming the person who doesn't stop at mediocrity, who doesn't accept the ordinary, who doesn't settle for second best. And the beauty of this is that very few people are willing to go there. Very few people are willing to bleed for their dreams. Very few people are willing to discipline themselves to the point where excellence is inevitable. That is your opportunity. That is your edge. That is why in 2026, no one will outwork you. I want you to consider the concept of effort versus results. Most people believe results define greatness, but that is backward thinking. Results are a reflection of effort, a reflection of the hours you put in when no one is watching. The real power lies in your willingness to push yourself further than yesterday. If you consistently outwork the competition, if you relentlessly pursue your goals with intensity, passion, and unwavering commitment, results will follow. And the difference between those who achieve greatness and those who merely dream about it is rarely talent. It is effort. It is sweat. It is blood. It is discipline. And that effort is not something you can fake. It is not something you can outsource. It is yours and yours alone. That is your responsibility. That is your promise to yourself. Now, let's talk about fear, because fear will try to stop you. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. Fear is real and it is ruthless. But here's what you need to understand. Fear is a sign that you're moving in the right direction. Fear is an indicator that you are stepping out of mediocrity and into the realm of growth. Fear is a signal that you are challenging yourself, stretching yourself, testing the limits of what you thought was possible. The moment you feel fear, the moment you want to turn back, that is precisely the moment you need to push forward. That is the moment where your discipline, your blood, and your sweat are going to pay off, because every time you conquer fear, you become stronger. Every time you embrace discomfort, you grow tougher. Every time you refuse to quit, you move closer to the version of yourself that cannot be outworked. And it's not just about the physical grind, it's about your mind. Your mind will try to cheat you. It will tell you that you've done enough, that you're tired, that you can rest, that someone else can handle it. That is the enemy. That is the voice of mediocrity. You must learn to master your mind with the same intensity that you master your craft. You must train yourself to see effort as opportunity. You must condition your mind to crave the struggle, because the struggle is where transformation happens. Blood, sweat, discipline, it all begins in the mind. Your mind decides whether you will quit or push through. Your mind decides whether you will be average or extraordinary. And if you commit fully to that process, if you decide right now that nothing will stop you, then I promise you, in 2026, no one will outwork you. Let me leave you with this. Greatness is not a gift. It's not something you stumble upon by chance. Greatness is forged in the fire of relentless effort, disciplined action, and the courage to embrace every ounce of struggle along the way. You have to choose it every day. You have to demand it from yourself every day. You have to be willing to bleed, to sweat, and to discipline yourself beyond the limits of comfort, because that is the path to being untouchable. That is the path to victory. That is the path where no one in 2026 will ever outwork you. And that is exactly the commitment I'm making. You know, most people talk about working hard, about grinding, about pushing themselves. But here's the truth. Working hard without direction, without a system, without consistency is like running in circles. You burn energy. You sweat. You think you're moving forward. But in reality, you're just exhausting yourself. And that is why so many people never reach their potential. They are busy, but they are not effective. They are moving, but they are not progressing. That stops now. In 2026, you will not just outwork everyone. You will outwork them with intelligence, with precision, with unwavering focus. You will outwork them in a way that is not just effort. It is strategic dominance. Every single day, your choices, your habits, your routines, they compound. You may not see the results immediately. You may not notice the small shifts in the moment. But if you are disciplined enough to stick to the process, to master the daily rituals that create extraordinary results, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Success is not an accident. It's a sum of tiny, consistent actions performed relentlessly over time. You have to build a system where effort is inevitable, where focus is non-negotiable, where discipline is ingrained into every fiber of your being. That is how you win. That is how you dominate. That is how in 2026, no one will outwork you. Let me break this down for you. Most people allow distractions to control their day. Their priorities are scattered. Their energy is diluted. Social media meaning less tasks, endless notifications, the opinions of others. These things fragment your attention, and attention is everything. The difference between someone who achieves greatness and someone who doesn't is often simply the ability to concentrate, to focus, to ruthlessly cut out the noise and pour yourself into the work that matters. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting, but it is effective beyond measure. You have to decide what is essential and then commit to it with an intensity that cannot be shaken. And once you commit, you have to repeat it every single day without compromise, without excuses. That is consistency. That is power. That is what separates the extraordinary from the average. Think about the smallest actions you take every day, the decisions that seem insignificant. Drinking that extra glass of water, showing up to your workout when you're tired, reading one more page of a book, sending one more message that could change your business, making one more call. These may feel minor, but the truth is they are monumental. They are the building blocks of dominance. Each one of these small, disciplined actions compounds over time. And when you look back a year from now, when you look back at the end of 2026, you will be astonished at the results you have created simply by staying consistent, simply by honoring the daily rituals that others ignore, simply by choosing to do what most people won't. That is the magic of strategic consistency. And it's not just about consistency. It's about deliberate action. It's about prioritizing. You cannot chase everything. You cannot pursue every opportunity. You have to choose your focus with intention. You have to know where to put your energy so that it multiplies instead of dissipates. That means saying no more than you say yes. It means eliminating the distractions, the activities, the people who pull you away from your path. It means creating a life where your energy is reserved for what truly matters, your growth, your results, your mission. That is how you create unstoppable momentum. That is how you set yourself apart from everyone else who is busy but ineffective. Let me tell you something else. Most people think that motivation is the key to consistency. They wait to feel motivated, to feel inspired, to feel like putting in the work. But motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the wind. What you need is discipline. And discipline comes from design. You need systems, routines, and structures that make it impossible to fail. You need to condition yourself to act even when you don't feel like it, to push forward when your mind says stop, to keep going when the world is trying to pull you off course. That is what separates the doers from the dreamers, the achievers from the spectators. Discipline is your unshakable backbone. Habits are your engine. And when they are aligned with your purpose and your focus, they create unstoppable power. Now, let's talk about measurement. If you are going to dominate in 2026, you have to track your actions, your progress, and your results. You cannot improve what you do not measure. Every day you must ask yourself, did I do the work that matters today? Did I honor my system? Did I push myself closer to my goals, even if by a small margin? Because progress, no matter how small, compounds into extraordinary outcomes. It's not about instant gratification. It's about long-term momentum. It's about showing up day after day, week after week, month after month, and knowing that each small effort is building toward a life that most people can only dream about. And here's the reality that most people refuse to face. Excellence is boring. The work that creates the results that matter is not flashy. It's not dramatic. It doesn't show up on Soci, Al Media in a viral post. It is hours spent refining, practicing, pushing past limitations, showing up when no one is cheering. That is where greatness is born. That is where champions are forged. That is where you set yourself apart from the masses. And if you commit to that path, if you accept that the grind is the gift, if you understand that consistency, focus, and deliberate action are non-negotiable, then no one in 2026 will outwork you. And finally, understand this, your environment will either support you or it will drag you down. You have to surround yourself with people who elevate you, who challenge you, who hold you accountable, who push you to be better every single day. You cannot thrive in chaos. You cannot grow in mediocrity. You must immerse yourself in an ecosystem that demands excellence, that rewards discipline, that celebrates relentless effort, because in that environment, your habits will flourish, your focus will sharpen, and your energy will be magnified. That is how you make dominance inevitable. That is how you make success unavoidable. So when I talk about key point 3, it is this. Mastery is not a single action. Mastery is a lifestyle. Mastery is a series of choices repeated consistently over time, designed to compound into unstoppable results. It is strategic effort applied relentlessly. It is focus. It is discipline. It is daily devotion to the small things that create monumental outcomes. And if you embrace that, if you commit fully, if you refuse to let distractions or excuses or fleeting motivation control your destiny, then in 2026, no one, and I mean no one, will outwork you. And that, my friends, is the power of strategic consistency. Let me tell you something that most people refuse to admit. Life is going to hit you hard. Sometimes it hits when you least expect it. Sometimes it hits when you are at your strongest. Tim, it hits when you think you finally earned a break. Pain is inevitable. Setbacks are guaranteed. Failure is not a question of if. It is a question of when. And the difference between the average person and the extraordinary person is not the absence of struggle. It's how they respond to it. The difference is resilience. The difference is mental toughness. The difference is a refusal to quit, a refusal to bend, a refusal to allow the circumstances to dictate the outcome. In 2026, you will not be outworked, not just because of effort, but because you will have built a mental fortress that nothing, and I mean nothing, can shake. Resilience is born in the crucible of adversity. Every challenge you face, every obstacle that threatens to stop you, every moment that tests your limits, these are not punishments. These are opportunities. Opportunities to grow stronger, opportunities to sharpen your mind, opportunities to prove to yourself and the world that your commitment cannot be broken. Most people run from adversity. Most people collapse under pressure. But you will step into the fire. You will embrace the difficulty. You will stare it down. And instead of letting it defeat you, you will let it define you. That is the essence of mental toughness. That is the mark of someone who refuses to be outworked. Now, let's be honest. Resilience is not a switch you can flip. It's not something you can fake. It's something you build over time, moment by moment, choice by choice. It's in the mornings when you feel exhausted but still show up. It's in the meetings you dread but push through. It's in the setbacks that make you question everything, yet you refuse to stop. Each time you overcome a challenge, each time you push past the pain, each time you rise after a fall, you are strengthening the foundation of your future. You're building a mental muscle that most people it'll never develop because most people quit the first time it hurts. But you in 2026 will not quit. Not ever. And here's the truth. Mental toughness is contagious. When you commit to resilience, you inspire yourself and those around you. People will notice your refusal to back down. They will see the fire in your eyes. They will feel the intensity of your effort and the depth of your discipline. And that energy will elevate your environment. That energy will attract opportunities, allies, and momentum. The stronger your mental resilience, the more unstoppable you become. Because no obstacle is large enough, no criticism is sharp enough, no failure is painful enough to break someone who is truly committed to being unshakable. That is the level of commitment we are talking about. That is the mindset that separates those who dream from those who dominate. Failure is the ultimate test. Every great story of success includes moments that most people would call catastrophic. Losing, failing, being rejected, making mistakes that hurt, experiencing situations that feel unfair. These are not the end. They are the proving ground. They are the moments that refine you, that sharpen your focus, that demand more from you than you ever thought you could give. And here's the critical point. If you refuse to be broken by failure, if you refuse to let it define you, if you learn the lesson it offers and move forward stronger, faster, more disciplined, then you have created a level of invincibility that cannot be matched. And that, my friends, is what ensures that no one in 2026 will outwork you. Let's talk about mindset because it is everything. Your mind is the battlefield where the war for success is won or lost. If your mind convinces you that the setbacks are permanent, if it convinces you that pain is intolerable, if it convinces you to give up, then you will fail. But if you train your mind to see setbacks as temporary, to see failure as feedback, to see pain as an indicator that you are stretching beyond your limits, then your mind becomes your greatest weapon. Mental toughness is about controlling your thoughts, managing your emotions, and channeling your energy into action no matter the circumstances. It is about creating an internal environment that is unshakable, unstoppable, and unyielding. I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine the strongest, most successful person you know. Now imagine the struggles they faced, the losses, the criticism, the moments when everything seemed to collapse. Those moments are where they were forged. And now imagine if they had given up in the first moment of doubt. Imagine if they had allowed the pain to convince them that they were done. None of their success would exist. Their story would be unfinished. And yet here they are, powerful, accomplished, dominant, because they learned to transform adversity into fuel, because they trained themselves to rise when others fall, because they refuse to allow circumstances to dictate their destiny. That is what I am talking about when I say resilience. That is what ensures that in 2026, no one will outwork you. Resilience also requires patience. Most people want results instantly. Most people want victory without struggle, but life does not work that way. Real growth, real achievement, real mastery is a process. It takes time. It takes repetition. It takes enduring the discomfort day after day after day. If you can maintain your effort, your focus, and your mental toughness over the long haul, if you can embrace the journey rather than constantly seeking shortcuts, then success becomes inevitable. The combination of persistence, resilience, and patience is unstoppable. That is what creates champions. That is what creates legends. That is what will make you untouchable in 2026. And finally, I want you to understand this. Resilience is a choice. Every single day, you get to decide how you respond to challenges. You get to choose whether to crumble or rise, whether to quit or push forward, whether to let fear control you or to let courage define you. That choice is yours. No one can make it for you. And if you consistently choose resilience, if you consistently choose mental toughness, if you consistently choose to push through the pain and the setbacks, then you are building a momentum that is unbreakable. That momentum will carry you through every obstacle, every challenge, every setback that comes in 2026, and it will ensure that no one will ever outwork you. So here's the truth. Life will challenge you. Pain will test you, failure will confront you, but your response, your determination, your mental toughness, these are the tools that create greatness. When you embrace resilience, when you commit to unyielding effort, when you refuse to allow setbacks to define your story, then you become unstoppable. And that, my friends, is how you dominate. That is how you rise. That is how you make sure that in 2026, no one will outwork you. Let me tell you something. Very few people truly understand talent alone will not make you unstoppable. Genius alone will not make you untouchable. Luck alone will not keep you ahead of the pack. What separates the winners from the rest is preparation, relentless preparation, and an insatiable hunger to improve every single day. Preparation is not just about showing up. It's about showing up ready, equipped, and evolving. It's about leveling up your skills, your knowledge, your strategy, and your mindset so that when opportunity knocks, you are not just ready, you are dominant. And in 2026, that is how no one will outwork you. Every minute you invest in yourself compounds like interest in a bank account. Reading, learning, practicing, analyzing, refining, observing, experimenting. These are not optional. They are non-negotiable. Most people think that showing up is enough. They think that talent will carry them. They think that doing the same thing they did yesterday will get them the results of tomorrow. That is a lie. The world does not reward complacency. The world does not honor stagnation. The world rewards those who anticipate, adapt, and advance. And that is why your preparation must be relentless, because it creates a margin of excellence that others can never touch. Think about this. If you can outlearn, outthink, and outpractice everyone around you, you have created a form of dominance that cannot be challenged. Knowledge, skills, and strategy are the ultimate weapons. Talent can be matched. Strength can be countered, but preparation, when it is combined with effort, focus, and discipline, is unstoppable. When you commit to learning every day, when you commit to expanding your abilities, when you commit to mastering the craft that others only dabble in, you position yourself in a league that most people will never reach. That is the power of preparation. That is why in 2026, no one will outwork you. Preparation is not just about the big moves. It's about the details. It's about the things most people overlook. It's about knowing the small factors that create the biggest difference. The habits, the timing, the systems, the routines, the discipline you apply daily. These are the elements that separate average performers from elite performers. It's the person who studies their craft while everyone else is scrolling their phone. It's the person who practices the skill no one else wants to refine. It's the person who learns, adapts, and innovates when everyone else is standing still. Excellence is not a moment, it's a lifestyle. And reparation is the engine that drives it. You also have to understand the value of observation. Most people rush through life thinking they know enough, thinking they're already equipped to face the challenges ahead, but the world is always evolving. The rules are constantly changing. The competition is constantly leveling up. If you're not paying attention, if you're not studying the environment, if you're not learning from the successes and failures of others, then you are falling behind. Observation is preparation. Observation is insight. Observation is a competitive edge that most people ignore. And when you combine observation with relentless execution, you create a form of dominance that is unstoppable. Now let's talk about mastery. Mastery is the result of preparation executed consistently over time. You cannot shortcut it. You cannot bypass it. You cannot cheat it. Mastery requires deliberate practice, repeated application, failure, adjustment, and more practice. The more you prepare, the more you anticipate, the more you refine your approach, the more unstoppable you become. You begin to operate on a level that others cannot comprehend. You begin to anticipate challenges before they arrive. You begin to execute with precision, speed, and confidence because you have done the work others are unwilling to do. That is how you dominate. That is how you ensure that no one in 2026 will outwork you. Learning is not optional. Growth is not optional. If you are standing still, the world is moving past you. Every day, someone else is reading, practicing, training, experimenting, innovating, evolving. And if you are not matching that, you are already behind. You have to be relentless in your pursuit of knowledge. You have to read more. You have to study harder. You have to challenge yourself to think deeper, to act smarter, to refine your craft. The moment you stow, learning is the moment you start falling behind. But if you embrace preparation and learning as a daily, non-negotiable habit, then you create an unstoppable momentum that will carry you past anyone who is not willing to put in the same effort. And here is something most people miss. Preparation is also mental. You cannot outwork your competition if your mind is weak, unfocused, or untrained. Mental preparation is about discipline, about focus, about emotional control, about visualizing success before it happens. It's about rehearsing your responses, your strategies, your actions until they are automatic under pressure. It's about priming yourself to perform at the highest level when the stakes are highest. The stronger your mind, the sharper your preparation, the more unstoppable your execution becomes. That is why mental preparation is just as critical as physical or strategic preparation. I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine showing up to a challenge where everyone else is underprepared. Imagine walking into a situation knowing you have done more, studied more, trained more, refined more, and anticipated more than anyone else. Imagine the confidence that comes from knowing you are ready for whatever comes at you. That is power. That is dominance. That is how you ensure that no one will outwork you. And here's the most important part. That power is yours to claim every single day by committing to preparation, by committing to learning, by committing to leveling up your skills and knowledge without excuse or delay. Finally, understand this. Preparation is a promise to yourself. It's a promise that you will not be caught off guard. It's a promise that you will perform at your peak when it matters most. It's a promise that you will respect your craft, your vision, and your potential by investing the effort now that most people won't. And the beauty of this promise is that it compounds. Each day you honor it, each skill you sharpen, each lesson you learn, each strategy you refine makes you stronger, faster, smarter, and more unstoppable. That is how you dominate your field. That is how you create a margin of excellence that others cannot touch. That is how in 2026 no one will outwork you. So if you want to be extraordinary, if you want to be untouchable, if you want to leave mediocrity behind, then commit to preparation, commit to learning, commit to refining your skills relentlessly. Let knowledge, strategy, and mastery become the weapons that ensure your victory. Because when you combine preparation with effort, focus, discipline, and resilience, you are unstoppable. That is how you rise. That is how you dominate. That is how you make sure that in 2026, no one will ever outwork you. Let me be brutally honest with you. Most people live their lives waiting for recognition, waiting for a pat on the back, waiting for the world to notice. They chase external validation instead of creating internal power. They work hard in bursts and hope that luck or timing will reward them. But that is not how greatness is built. Greatness is not built on hope. It's not built on chance. Greatness is built on relentless pursuit, on a refusal to quit, on a commitment so deep that it defines every single action you take. In 2026, you will not just outwork everyone because of effort or skill or resilience. You will outwork them because your vision, your purpose, and your drive are unstoppable. And that is how you leave a legacy that no one can touch. Legacy is not about awards. Legacy is not about trophies or titles. Legacy is about impact. Legacy is about the value you create when the world is not watching. It's about the people you inspire, the systems you build, the standards you set for yourself and others, and the life you lead. With intensity and purpose, every day your actions compound into influence, into authority, into unstoppable momentum that echoes far beyond the immediate results. That is why relentless effort is not just about today, it is about every tomorrow you are going to create. That is why discipline, consistency, preparation, and resilience are not just tactics, they are the foundation of your long-term dominance. You see, most people quit too early. They give up when it gets hard, when it hurts, when the results don't appear instantly. But here's the truth. Life does not reward quitters. Life does not celebrate those who give up. Life rewards the person who pushes past exhaustion, who overcomes pain, who doubles down when everyone else folds. And that is what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. That is what ensures that in 2026, no one will ever outwork you. Not because you are lucky, not because you are gifted, not because the world handed you opportunity, but because you refused to quit, because you committed to the grind, to the process, to the relentless pursuit of excellence. Think about this for a moment. Imagine looking back at the end of the year, at the end of 2026, and knowing that no one, absolutely no one, worked harder than you. Imagine knowing that you bled for it, you sweat for it, you disciplined yourself for it, you embraced every discomfort, every setback, every failure, and turned it into fuel. Imagine the confidence, the strength, the unshakable knowledge that your commitment, your intensity, your discipline, and your preparation created a year no one could match. That feeling, that is power. That is dominance. That is the kind of momentum that cannot be taken away. And that, my friends, is the start of your legacy. And let's be real, a legacy is not built alone. Your influence grows as you elevate others, as you set standards that others aspire to reach, as you push your environment to demand excellence. When you commit to outworking everyone, you create a culture around you that cannot settle for mediocrity. People notice your effort, your intensity, your relentlessness, and they begin to mirror it. They begin to rise. They begin to elevate themselves because of the example you are setting. That is the kind of impact that lasts. That is the kind of influence that multiplies exponentially. That is the power of relentless pursuit. Here's the thing about effort. It compounds. Every hour you invest, every skill you sharpen, every failure you turn into a lesson, every setback you overcome, it all accumulates. It may not seem significant in the moment, but over time, it becomes unstoppable. The work you put in today creates momentum for tomorrow. The discipline you cultivate now builds habits that carry you through challenges you haven't even imagined. The resilience you develop now makes obstacles in the future mere stepping stones. This is how you dominate. This is how you create a life that no one can touch. And this is why in 2026, no one will ever outwork you. Now, understand this. Legacy also demands vision. You cannot leave a mark without a target, without a mission, without clarity about what you are fighting for.